Hey, what's up guys? So I wanted to go ahead and go over this match video that I did have with Minerva. I took Minerva to last week's Oviedo Locals versus Games Locals located in the Oviedo Mall. You should definitely check them out. Very nice staff, very good shop. I just wish it wasn't as far away from me, but I do go there just because, it is worth it for me personally. And I am playing Minerva here. This was actually my first time playing Minerva. There was obviously like some deck building changes afterwards, and definitely some plays that I did quote unquote misplay or quote unquote could have done better. Like in this version of the deck, I was running draw triggers, and I was running a promo grade 2 that I essentially never used. See me putting my music over there in the corner because I had like one headphone with music in it. But we're gonna have the Ava play over here. Go ahead and start off. Sorry that there's like a lot of glare on his side. His deck's basically like not max rarityed, of course, but like damn near max rarityed, and he does have it, I believe, triple sleeved. See, my turn was literally just ride up and like drop and draw. So I did end up taking this list to the Kingslayer 1K tournament that happened over this past weekend. Definitely the deck profile is going to reflect how what I played in that tournament versus what I played in locals, because obviously like I did make the deck better. I feel like I did have like a very good definite chance of topping and winning the entire event. It was honestly, in my opinion, one of my losses just came down to one of my shortcomings, which was against this matchup that I did make a key misplay, and I'll go over that more in the deck profile. But I just felt, I felt like my results of not topping were my own doing. At least for the one match that I did lose, it felt like they were my own undoing. Go ahead and use the Drilling Angel here to put Minerva into Soul, just to have the grade 3 Regalia set up so that off the ride line we could just put key pieces instead of grade 3s. Check a sider, and then he gets a front trigger so the other guy doesn't do anything. It's going to ride to grade 3 here. Go ahead and play the grade 3 order. And one thing that I did have trouble with at the tournament was that going into time. I believe I was taken to time like twice, and I do understand that, like, especially from this deck, I believe in this tournament I was also taken into time, and I may be too much of a stickler about it or too hard about it, but just because like you have so many things that you have to quote unquote do in this deck. Like you have like 4 moves a turn of like deck searching and then deck shuffling, that like I'm really in the future not gonna give any players that do like these types of play these types of decks any wiggle room. Like, I'm sorry, I dislike going into time because it's really unfair in terms of like it's like chance. It increases the levels of chance of who wins and who loses. In my opinion, of course, but I would rather just, play the game versus going into time. Thinking about what to discard here. We're gonna discard that grade 2 that I was talking about. It's like CB1, put a card to soul and draw a card. So it's like a generic version of Nemen. Go ahead and Soul Blast 1, look at the top card. Thinking if we're going to leave it on top or not, we do Soul Charge it, and then we're going to Counter Blast 1 to call out that grade 2. Sorry if you guys hear a little bit of a background noise in the back. I did have a family reunion, and I do still have family over, but there are certain things that I do have to get done for the YouTube channel, of course. So my goal is to push out these Minerva videos, and then hopefully I'm able to finish up the Lukier videos on Wednesday. So we're going to go ahead and Counterblast, Soul Blast. I believe our hand was mostly guard. That's why like we didn't really have too much of an offensive push here. And then I'm going to soul charge 2. I soul charged another Genesis and a heal, what it looks like. It was really fast. No swing. He decides to PG this. The opponent that I'm playing here does love to guard early, like really early. And it's interesting because he always guards early, and his hand size, like, it's weird because his hand size like never like falls down from like 5 or 6 cards, but like those 5 or 6 cards, because like he guard are like just really almost always really good shield value, just because the Ava deck is just nothing but really good shield value. So he's gonna go ahead, do his Ava plays here. Like, we've all seen this like a million times by now. Really nothing much to talk about here. Not much to talk about, and honestly, like the deck really doesn't have like many like pivots. It's very standard in what it's doing. Like, it doesn't try to play around anything because it doesn't have anything to play around. It has like basically the ultimate protection, the ultimate like search power, like damn near infinite resources. The only thing that makes the deck fair, in my opinion, is the fact that like it really doesn't do like insanely high numbers. Like, I think the biggest numbers they'll do is like what, 43, 46, 40, and that's really what makes the deck fair. That, and the deck doesn't really draw. In my opinion, at least, like they'll have like really good shield value, but the deck doesn't really draw. Like, they'll have like, like let's say right there, that's like a 7 card hand. Like, they'll have like a 7 card hand, like 8 card hand maximum. Go ahead and call another Angel. We're going to put the grade 2 back into Soul so we can call it out. We did Persona Rad here. We're going to call another one. Thinking about what to put into Soul here. Put another grade 2 in. Well, thinking about it, apparently. We decided to put another grade 1 in instead. And it does work out for us. We did get the Superior Call, another grade 1. So the reason that I did that instead of the grade 2 is because we do only have 2 face-up Counterblast. So I can't really, what's it called? I can't really, do like an insane amount of multi-attacks here. So we're going to swing boosted. It's going to be 33. Just because I do want him to be at 4 damage during my Vanguard swing. So we're going to swing 36 here. We're going to swing with the boost because I might put a booster behind my Vanguard. And he does basically OT to pass. I do get the OT and I get a crit. So that's going to tie up the first game, which I do believe he had a PG in hand, but I think like no matter what, the 100 million of the overtrigger was just going to win the game. And we were just talking about how like I have that sleeve on all my over triggers because, as you guys know, if you've watched the channel before, we are not a believer of the over trigger on this channel. We are actually up for discussion in 2 of my locals right now to remove the over trigger from locals, at least for like that tournament. So you guys might see some local content in the future without the overtrigger. I do believe Kingslayer Cards is also thinking about doing the same thing for their standard events. It was talked about, I believe, like, apparently a poll was done. Like, the head judge was walking around and like talking to people about it. I wasn't talked to about it. I didn't even know that there was a poll. And apparently, like, a few people said yes, a few people said no. And I just told Richard, like, hey man, like, if you do like a poll online or like a poll on your YouTube channel, like, I will like support the shit out of that. I will, I'm gonna like share that shit on my YouTube because I, for one, am not a supporter of the overtrigger. I believe the overtrigger is a very broken and disgusting card that gives people undeserved wins. Like you saw literally right there. Like, he probably had more than enough to guard my turn, but that literally gave me like oh, I just win right here. When that turn probably wasn't going to be a kill turn, it was probably going to be a pressure turn, and then the game would have just like gone past that. So like, that game was a perfect example of like, that's just dumb because like he didn't have more than 1 PG to stop the overtrigger. Thinking about what to discard here. Discards the grade 3. Looking at top 5. We get our 2 combo pieces, which is great. We're going to put that grade 3 in Soul, just get a grade 3 Regalia in there. And I do just want to apologize again, and guys, if you hear any like miscellaneous background noise, I do have family over, and you know, there's really not much you can do about that. It's like a family reunion. I'm getting to see people that I normally never get to see, and I'm just trying to do this in the meantime as food is getting prepared. He's going to get the grade 2 off the top 5, which is really good. Not too good because I didn't commit to a full board. I don't think I had another grade 2, so I didn't commit to a full board here. But he's still going to be able to wipe out that Interceptor just because he's going to attack with that first. He's going to 5k to his Vanguard here. I believe I just take this. Yeah, I just take this. I get a defensive draw. What is he doing? I'm so confused here. Oh, he was trying to like superior call, but he obviously doesn't have the counterblast. So I believe I gave him a 1 to pass here, and then basically his other column can't hit. So it's next turn, because his column was 20, I was 30. My theory with the 1 to pass was that I would rather him give all effects to Vanguard and break it than, let's say, like I throw a card out so that he can't break the 1 to pass, and he can't break it, and then like I'd have to guard again for his other rear guard. So basically it would be 2 cards in hand versus I use no cards in hand to guard that turn. So that's why my hand size is still relatively large. Thinking with the Soul Blast here. Call an Angel. We're going to get the grade 1 from our drop into our Soul. Yeah, we're going to call the grade 2 here. Leave that card on top. That card's most likely a trigger. We're going to call down 2 Ciders. So we're going to swing 23 here at the Vanguard. Cider's going to go back to hand, and then we're going to swing 18 at the Vanguard. He is going to go 2 to pass. I get a heal trigger. I give it all to Vanguard. That's usually what I do when I play this deck, is that no matter what, more often than not, all the power is going to the Vanguard. So I'm going to CB1 and then call those 2 Ciders for free. And I believe I soul charged 2 more soul pieces, which is very nice. And I'm just thinking about my attack formation here. I do decide to swing with the Vanguard first, even though this is most likely a no guard. And then I'm going to swing 23 at the Vanguard. I was just reading to see if it had the 5k on both turns. And I'm going to swing 23 at the other rear guard. And I'm going to pass turn. So I think so I've talked about this quite a lot in my past videos, is that when my opponent does get a defensive trigger and I know it's just like a 5k block, I will go for interceptors just in case. They might just let it die because that's what was going to happen regardless. They were going to intercept, but there was like a quick like light out or something. I guess somebody was like near a light switch. But more often than not, I will just go for the interceptors because most likely they were going to guard with it anyway, or if they wanted to keep those units, they're going to have to expend more shield than they normally would have had to. He's going to go ahead and search for another grade 3 order here. Going to use a grade 3 order to give 5k to a unit. He's going to give it to the Upsquide. So I go ahead and guard and double intercept there. He swings here. This is just 23, so this is just a 15k block. And then I believe I just take the Vanguard swing. My thought process here was just that I didn't want to be put in a position where I'm at 4, so that like he could just give a crit to another rear guard. Now I have to block both those attacks. So that was my thought process, and I do get a defensive overtrigger here, which shuts down his turn. Once again, the overtrigger, unfair, unfair in almost every iteration that it is checked in. I do get the grade 2 here. Vanguard's ability, I'm going to leave it on top. I'm going to call back Cider. And I'm going to swing 33 at the Vanguard. He is going to block here. And I'm going to swing 36 at the Vanguard. Draw trigger. I'll give the power to Vanguard and I'll draw. Use my Vanguard skill here. Pitch Cider. Which, technically, this was a misplay. What I should have done, I should have swung with the Cider column first so I didn't have to call over anything. But I guess technically, no, it wouldn't be the same thing because then I would have 3 boosters instead of just 2 boosters at the end of the turn. So I did do like a slight misplay there. I should have called over the Cider column. So he takes all of it, goes to 5 here because once again, like he does have like good shield in hand, but as you can see, his hand really isn't that large. Our deck is getting a little bit thin here because of the draw triggers. Like this is what I was talking about, to where it's like this is like the match that I realized that I shouldn't be running draws. Draws, like they deck me out so fast because Minerva goes through the deck so fast. And again, Minerva is another one of those decks that like it doesn't have a large hand, but it maintains like a healthy hand in terms of shield value. So it's the same as Ava in that sense. So I go ahead and perfect guard here. The only reason I perfect guard is that I am playing around the Brant Gate over trigger. I'm trying to like give myself every like good opportunity to win here because I know his cards in hand are very low. Even though that they are like very relatively good shield value. I know his hand looks big, but it's actually not that big. It's just like his cards are triple sleeved. I Soul Blast here. I leave it on top. I call. I choose not to use the skill because obviously the top card is a trigger. So I'll swing 21 here at the Vanguard. He's just going to intercept. Cider goes back to hand. And then I'll swing 26 at the Vanguard here. And he does decide to perfect guard. I get a critical trigger here. I give it all the Vanguard. And then I get a heal trigger, which he was going to 2 to pass it, which I was going to give it all to Vanguard. So he made the smart decision in perfect guarding the Vanguard. But we're going to Soul Blast 3 here. And then I'm going to be swinging 36 at the Vanguard. And my rear guard's 33. But I believe he guards with the OT here again. No, he perfect guards again. Then I'll swing 33 here, which is just a 2-card guard. So this is what I'm talking about. Like you see, like his hand went from like what, like 8, 7 cards to like what, 4 cards, 5 cards. He's gonna add the order here. I guess he needs the order. Yeah, he needs the order here. So he adds the order here. And you see my deck is very low. So I believe I believe I survive his turn, but because my deck is so low, like I just lose to deck out regardless. And because like again, this is another thing of from my and I'm speaking from my personal experience. I have nothing against the players that I have played with that do play Ava, but from my personal experience, if you play, you can't let your Ava player think forever. You can't let them like think about the play that they've done for the past like 5 rounds of the tournament. That you can't let them think on a play that they've been doing for like the past week they've been playing Ava. And like, I'm sorry, like if it seems like, if you're the Ava player and it seems like I'm rushing you or like we're trying to rush you, and like I'm sorry, that we're rushing you, but again, like we don't want to go into time because Ava Ava doesn't have like the worst time in the world in time, because their shield value is generally like higher than every other deck in like this overdress format currently. But if you're a regular deck, you don't want to go into time. So yeah, that's my speech on it. I'm sorry guys if like this is like taking up the match video, but I'm pretty sure I lose this match to deck out. That's why I'm taking this time to just talk about this. I believe he just like no passes it here. I'm at 26. That's 43. Yeah, he just no passes here. So that's like 48. I got a critical trigger. I give everything to rear guard. That's 33. And he guards with a 15 and a 10k, which just wins him the game because like I got hand for days, but I lose to deck out. Literally, like we were so close, ladies and gentlemen. We were so close to winning that match. Like if we were able to like maybe like establish another column, like maybe we could have gotten this game. But we do lose to deck out here, unfortunately, because we can just guard the rest of these attacks. I wanted to skip over it, but there's not really any skip button. And then he heals down, which like makes it impossible for us to win here. Oh, I was trying to speed it up. He heals down, which makes it impossible for us to win here. Because we needed him to be at 5, because we needed him to guard every rear guard, so I just scoop it up here. There's really nothing else to talk about. So let me actually just skip through this. We're gonna pitch our grade 2 of the ride line for ride. That's usually our ideal pitch target, so we could just soul it back with our angel. It's gonna attack for 8 here. We take it. We damage 2-siders. Reason I call a column here is just I just want to make sure that he does take damage. Did the music stop? I'm having a funky interconnection over here, guys. So if the music did stop, I apologize. It's one of those like 12-hour like lo-fi mantras. But my interconnection is kind of buggy right now. I do not know why. So yeah, the music might have just stopped. And I believe I just guard both of his swings, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, the reason I guard weird here is because I believe we are in time. Okay, the music is back up. I believe we're in time here, or at least the beginnings of time. So if I am guarding weird, it is because of time constraints, which again, like I said, like don't let them take you to time. You can't let a deck like this take you to time because it's almost an auto win for them. Because their grip is literally just shield. I have crit to Vanguard, power to rear guard. He gets the over trigger, which again, literally him damaging the over trigger is what wins him the game, because he got a heal and he got a draw trigger in time. So this is what I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, to where it was like, this deck is beatable. I don't think this deck is the best deck in the format by far. I wouldn't even say that Ava is the second best deck in the format. But if you're not careful, like you have to be very like conscious of time constraints, and you have to be like very conscious of you have to be very conscious of what the Ava player can or can't do. I'm not saying that Ava players are intentionally stalling. I do not think that's the truth at all. But, like I said, their plays can take up a bunch of time, especially if they take a while to shuffle, they take a while to quote unquote think on moves that they don't really have to think about, in my opinion, because they do the same thing every turn. And I believe I take this. Oh no, I don't take this. So I 2 to pass the Vanguard here. But he checks the trigger, which I perfect guard. I'm on 1 card in hand. I leave that card on top. I call. This is literally my last effort / last attempt. I literally, I have nothing. I draw, and I don't draw into a Genesis, and I get a crit, which normally would be really good in this scenario, but like I said, like, because of that over trigger, because this deck has so much like tankiness, that it's almost feels like an auto win in time, even if you do sack them. And I checked an offensive crit twice, and literally it is the over trigger that killed me and lost me the game, because I believe I drew the over trigger off of that draw trigger. But don't forget to like, comment, like, that's what I'm saying here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. But like, literally, I had to like bet on myself getting the over trigger to beat him. So this is I don't mean to be like down and gloomy, guys. Like, I really don't. That's not the point of why I'm saying all these things. The point of why I'm saying all these things is because I want you guys to have this information, and to like, to look at this objectively yourselves, to make your own informed decision on the over trigger, to make your own informed decision on how do you play against Ava, and how slow or how fast you let them play. Be it a local event, or a high stakes level event. If it's casuals, nobody cares. If it's casuals, nobody cares. But I'm speaking in terms of a competitive aspect of the game. But again, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought about what we were talking about today down below. Don't forget, we are selling the playmats. The information for that is going to be down in the description down below. And like I said, the video schedule is back on track. So later, guys.